Hey everybody, my name is Brandon. Welcome back to Cinefessions, where we talk all things media. So today we are going to look at another stack of movies that I have found at my local thrift stores. This will be episode 47 of my thrift store haul series, and I will mention there is a full playlist here on the channel, so definitely check that out. If you've missed any of them over the years, you can see all the way from 1 through 47. So today we have about 9 DVDs to get through, so let's not waste any more time at all. Let's dive right in through to thrift store haul number 47. Alright, we'll get started with a Disney movie I found, and this is one I actually haven't seen. This is Brother Bear. And you can see this is the 2-disc special edition release of this, which I thought was pretty cool. So you have the disc 1, which is the family-friendly aspect ratio, and then disc 2, which is the original theatrical aspect ratio. So basically, they have the 4:3 on disc 1, and then the standard like 16:9 on disc 2, which is just silly. I don't know why they have it that way. Actually, it says on the back 3 viewing options. Oh, the family-friendly aspect ratio is 1.66 to 1, and then the original theatrical aspect ratio is 2.35 to 1, so that's interesting. And then there is a watch-along with like a commentary track on there as well. So, yeah, anyway, this I just thought would be a fun one for the family collection, so Brother Bear is now in the collection. This next one is technically supposed to be 2 discs as well, but it's just for the digital copy. But this is Alvin and the Chipmunks, the original, well, not original at all, but like the first of the movies that they made with these characters. And I always thought this one was a lot of fun, so I thought it would be a cool one to have in the collection. I do own one, or I think there's 2 sequels to this if I'm not mistaken. I think I own at least one of those on DVD as well, so I thought this would just be a good way to have this in the collection. I'm sure my kids will like this one once they get around to it. So yeah, happy to have Alvin and the Chipmunks. So very fittingly, this next one is in an old Blockbuster rental case, which works for this movie because it's Be Kind, Rewind. So this is one that when I first watched it, I remember being a little disappointed by it, but my expectations were so high. I love Jack Black. I just think he's a very funny actor in virtually everything I've seen him in. Mos Def, I think, is an excellent actor. He was brilliant in 16 Blocks, which with Bruce Willis is one of those underrated films, I would say. I think that movie is so good and doesn't get enough love. And then it's directed by Michel Gondry, or Mikel Gondry. I forget how I would say his first name there, but the director of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which is one of my favorite films of all time. So my expectations were very high coming into this. I don't know that it lived up to all of those, but for 50 cents, I wanted to revisit it, and I figured DVD would be sufficient for this one. So definitely one I need to try once more and see if I like it anymore on a repeat viewing. This is Be Kind, Rewind. This next one I actually found while I was on vacation quite a while back now, but it has a really nice snapper case. This is Key Largo, and I know this is a very famous, classic film with Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall in there, along with Edward G. Robinson, but I have not seen this one before, and I thought this would be a great way to check it out. It interests me because I guess our characters are essentially trapped in a hotel because there's this hurricane coming through, but then there's something dealing with a mobster in here as well, played by Edward G. Robinson. So I don't know how this is going to be, but I've heard great things over the years. So another one that I have kind of high hopes for once I get around to it. And the snapper on it is just in really great condition. So happy to add Key Largo to the snapper collection. Here's another one that many would consider a classic that I've not yet seen, but we have Steve McQueen in Bullitt. Another one with the 2-disc special edition here, and there are 2 feature-length documentaries included on the second disc, which is, awesome. I love that. That is super cool. So, yeah, this is, a pretty well-known action movie. I think this is, if I'm not mistaken, most well-known for some of the car chases that occur in here, but if you guys have seen this one, let me know. So you can see there's the disc with the movie and then the special features disc. So should be a great one when I get around to it, and this DVD itself is just loaded, which is really cool to see. So Steve McQueen's Bullitt. I was really surprised I didn't already own this one on Blu-ray, but apparently I didn't, so I picked it up on DVD. This is U571, another of the submarine movies. I have a number of these in my collection, and I've not watched any of them. Like Das Boot is another one I really need to sit down and watch. Super duper long, but that is one I need to do. I could do like an I Watch 3 vlog, or even just a shelf space episode on the 3 specific like submarine movies and see how I like them. I typically like movies that are set in one location, so I'm guessing these will be similar to that. So should be fun. Hopefully it is anyway when I get around to it. This is U571. I always love finding older John Lithgow films because my experience with John Lithgow really started with Third Rock from the Sun. So for me, he's just a comedic actor. But then you watch some older movies and you realize this guy played a villain in a ton of movies. And I think this is another one where he is playing the villain. But this is Raising Cain. And it has John Lithgow. It's a Brian De Palma film. So, I mean, it should be really good when I get around to it. I think Lithgow is just an excellent actor. I loved him. I cannot remember which movie it was. Was it Blow Up? Blowout? The one that's in the Criterion Collection? I think both of them are, actually. But I can't remember. The one with John Travolta. I believe he was in that as the main villain as well. And he's excellent. Like, he's a great actor. So I'm looking forward to checking this out once I get around to it. It says on the front here, when Jenny cheated on her husband, he didn't just leave, he split. So didn't have like a split personality type thing going on here. But yeah, should be really cool. This is Raising Cain. I think this is the only Warner Archive title I've ever found at the thrift store, but this is part of that collection. This is Planet Earth. So this is one that I believe is actually available on Blu-ray. I can picture in my head like a double pack that has this and something else in it on Blu-ray, but for the 50 cents or $1, whatever it ended up being, I figured this would be a great way to check this one out. It says on the back here, it takes place in the 22nd century, and our hero is a handsome, vigorous 20th century scientist awakened from suspended animation. So, I mean, that sounds awesome. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one is. And again, really cool to add to that Warner Archive collection. So this is John Saxon in Planet Earth. Last but not least today is a movie I've been trying to find for the longest time. I'm sure I could have just jumped on eBay and picked it up, but I was trying to find it in the wild, and I finally did so randomly. But Wide Awake is in the collection now, and you might be thinking to yourself, like, what is that? Why would that matter? It's just a Rosie O'Donnell comedy here. But the reason it's interesting to me is because, I don't know if you'll be able to read that or not, but this is actually M. Night Shyamalan's directorial debut. M. Night Shyamalan is one of my favorite directors, and so this is a movie I had to see, and I just haven't gotten around to it. So very happy I was able to find this one. If I remember right, I think I did look on eBay at one point, and it was a little bit more expensive, but Dennis Leary is in this one as well. So yeah, this should be really cool. It looks like this is a Canadian release because it has the French on the bottom there, and the Canadian Home Video logo, whatever that's called. Yeah, I was right, Canadian Home Video. So yeah, this one, I'm just really intrigued to see what it's all about. Of course, it's going to be significantly different than Unbreakable, The Sixth Sense, anything that he's done. But I don't care. Like, I just need to see what he was able to do with his first movie here. So Wide Awake, I think, is a pretty interesting and unique find. At least in my area, I've never been able to see it before. So let me know if you guys have checked this one out in the past, and let me know if it's any good. I don't have very high expectations, but given the director, I have to have it in the collection and check it out. So the last one from today's thrift store haul is Wide Awake by M. Night Shyamalan. All right, 9 more for the collection. Probably spent less than $10 on this entire stack, which is awesome. Some of those were from my local thrift store where it was 2 for $1 at the time. They're now $1 each, but still not terrible. And then others were from like a Goodwill, which is a little bit more expensive. They can be $1 or $1.99. So kind of just all over, but whatever it was a very cheap pile, which is always good in my book. But I would love to hear from you guys down in the comments below. Have you found anything recently from your local thrift stores? If so, let me know what it was down in the comments. And let me just make a programming note here. So the day this video goes live is technically the first Tuesday of a new month, and so usually I would post my anticipated releases video. However, I am pushing that to Thursday, and I'm doing this one here today. So definitely check back to the channel on Thursday if you want to hear about my thoughts on the movies that are coming out new on Blu-ray and 4K in August that I am most looking forward to. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking this out. Check out the thrift store playlist if you're interested in that as well. But otherwise, I'll let you guys go. So thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you all next time.